It needed one of us, he says, his voice barely audible over the crackling static, like he's speaking from another world. One of us. To stay. Otherwise, none of us would have made it out. His voice breaks, a tinge of desperation in his tone. I'm sorry, Rhodes. We didn't know what else to do. 3 days prior, I've dreamed of this moment since I was a kid, standing on the moon, on ground where no human has ever walked, a place shrouded in perpetual night and mystery. Now, as I stand here, looking out over the vast, silent expanse, that dream feels distant. This isn't the feeling I'd hoped for. There's an ache in my chest, an unease that no amount of training prepared me for. It's quiet here, too quiet. The silence presses in, almost like it's listening. I glance back at Merrick and Blake as they unload equipment, the only light coming from our helmets and the dim glow of Earth behind us. It's strange, beautiful too, but strange. The ground here is untouched, undisturbed by even the faintest breeze. Yet, as I take it all in, I feel a shiver run through me. Something wrong, Rhodes. Merrick's voice crackles over the comms. His face, barely visible through his helmet's visor, looks hollow, washed out in the dim light. No, just trying to take it all in. I shrug, forcing a grin he can't see, but my stomach twists with a feeling I can't quite place. A few hours pass as we set up camp and run through our routines. Just as we're about to finish, there's a sound, a faint hum, just barely there. I press a hand to my helmet, adjusting the audio feed, thinking it might be interference. But the hum lingers, slipping through my headset like a distant lullaby. Did anyone else hear that? I ask, glancing at Merrick and Blake. Hear what? Blake replies, frowning. The hum fades, leaving only silence in its wake. I shake it off as nerves, chalking it up to exhaustion and the sensory overload of being here, finally here. But that feeling in my gut doesn't let go. The following day, we decide to scout a bit further into the dark side. It's Merrick who first sees it, a strange formation half buried in the dust, about 50 yards off. He kneels beside it, brushing the lunar soil away with a gloved hand. Rhodes, Blake, come check this out, Merrick murmurs. I move closer, staring down at the object. It's unlike anything I've seen, a network of twisted structures, almost organic, like petrified roots that extend from a central mass. My stomach churns as I realize the hum is back, a bit louder now, pulsing in time with my heartbeat. What the hell is this? I whisper, reaching out. My fingers hover over it for a moment before I pull them back, something inside screaming not to touch it. But Merrick's already lost in it. He leans closer, his hand resting on the dark, twisted surface. His breathing changes, becomes shallow, as if he's forgotten how to take in air. Then softly, he begins to hum. Merrick, you all right? I ask. He doesn't respond. He just keeps humming, that same low tone, rhythmic and steady. The hum matches the pulse in my own ears, syncing with the faint echo from the object. It's unsettling, almost hypnotic. Merrick, stop, I shout, grabbing his shoulder and pulling him back. His visor tilts toward me, his eyes distant, almost blank. And then, just as quickly, he shakes his head, blinking as though waking from a dream. What was that? He mutters, glancing down at his hand, then back at the structure. I don't answer. I can't. The hum is in my head now, like a song you can't forget, one you don't even remember learning. I can feel it in my chest, vibrating through my ribcage, a sound that seems to come from within me as much as from the moon itself. That night, everything changes. I wake to the sound of humming. It's soft, almost imperceptible, but it's there, filling the silence like a fog rolling over us. Merrick and Blake are both humming, each of them lost in the same low tone, swaying slightly as if entranced. Hey, snap out of it, I shout, shaking them both. They don't respond, don't even blink. Their faces are blank, eyes staring off into the black expanse of the moon. Suddenly, Merrick stops humming and turns to me, his voice barely a whisper over the calm. It wants us, Rhodes. It wants us to stay. What? What are you talking about? I step back, but he grabs my arm, holding on with a strength that surprises me. You feel it, don't you? It's calling you too. His voice is hollow, empty, as though he's speaking from somewhere far away. I yank my arm free, backing away, my heart pounding. Get a hold of yourself, Merrick. There's nothing out here but dust and rock. But the hum grows louder, louder than ever, filling my helmet, vibrating through my skull. I stumble, clutching at my helmet, feeling like my mind is being pulled apart. I see shadows flickering at the edge of my vision, shapes that twist and writhe like something alive. The last thing I remember before blacking out is Merrick's voice, whispering softly, "It's too late for us, Rhodes. It's too late." I come to, groggy and disoriented, a faint ache pulsing at the base of my skull. At first, I think it was all just some vivid nightmare, but when I reach out, feeling only the emptiness around me, a creeping dread fills my chest. My heart races as I look around, realizing something is terribly wrong. The ship is gone. I stumble to my feet, shouting into my comms. "Merrick? Blake? What the hell is going on?" My voice echoes back at me, swallowed by silence. But then, through the static, I hear a faint crackle, a distorted fragment of Merrick's voice. It told us. It needed one. My blood runs cold as his words settle over me. I remember that hollow look in his eyes, the way he and Blake had begun humming in unison, their bodies swaying as if pulled by unseen strings. "It needed one of us," he says, his voice barely audible over the crackling static, like he's speaking from another world. "One of us, to stay. Otherwise, none of us would have made it out." His voice breaks, a tinge of desperation in his tone. "I'm sorry, Rhodes. We didn't know what else to do." I stumble backward, my heart pounding, trying to process what he's saying. They left me here as some kind of offering, a sacrifice to whatever was lurking in the dark side of the moon. As I stand there, alone, the hum returns, deeper and more powerful than before, vibrating through my skull, seeping into my bones. I understand now. It's always been here, watching, waiting. And now that I'm alone, it has me. There's nowhere left to run. In that moment, I realize that I'm trapped, not just physically, but mentally, pulled into an endless, inescapable hum. And I know that the others, even as they escape, won't ever truly leave it behind. The structure looms in the distance, half buried in the dust, pulsing faintly with that same low tone. I'm drawn to it, no longer resisting the urge to go near it. I stumble toward it, feeling like I'm moving through molasses, the hum guiding my every step. The ground around it seems to vibrate, tiny pebbles shifting with each pulse, as if this thing is breathing, alive and aware. I kneel beside it, feeling my heartbeat sync with its rhythm. Memories that aren't mine flicker in my mind, images of places far from here, alien landscapes and cities built in shadow. I see stars collapsing, entire galaxies devoured by something dark and incomprehensible, and then I see Earth, my home, distant and blue, so close and yet so impossibly far away. A strange sense of calm washes over me, even as I realize I may never leave. The hum is everywhere now, inside me, and I begin to hum along with it. The sound slips from my throat without thought, as natural as breathing. My voice mingles with the hum, the two sounds intertwining, and a thought that isn't mine settles over me, ancient and patient. You are part of this now. I don't know if hours pass or days, but slowly I start to lose the need to distinguish between them. My thoughts grow quieter, blending with the hum, filling the emptiness around me until the boundaries of my own mind begin to dissolve. I feel the structure as though it's part of me, or perhaps I am part of it, rooted here in the lunar dust, my body forgotten as I sink deeper into something eternal. Years later, I hear voices, faint at first, filtering through the layers of darkness like the echo of a memory. New voices. They grow louder, closer, filling the space around me. I can feel their presence, bright and curious, moving through the shadows of this place. There's a crackling sound. Someone talking, their voice hesitant, as if they too sense the weight of what lies here. One of them hums softly, barely noticeable, as if matching a rhythm they don't quite understand. But I feel it. I know what it means. They've come to join me. The hum grows stronger, pulsing through the dark, filling the empty spaces with sound. I'm no longer alone, and neither are they. Soon, they will understand. They will feel it inside them, the way it binds, the way it consumes, the way it becomes a part of you. And when they do, they too will hum. It's inevitable, part of the cycle that's been repeating here for far longer than we've known. The last fragments of who I was slip away, blending into the hum, into the ancient rhythm that holds us all in its grasp. The new voices are here, but they won't be alone for long. Soon, others will come, drawn by the same call, and this cycle will continue, always waiting for the next to join us in the silence. In the darkness, the hum goes on, unending, eternal,